You're 10 years old. You're playing Minecraft Pocket Edition at 1 a.m., trying to finally get that diamond pickaxe you've been playing so long for. You're staying deathly quiet to avoid getting caught playing so late. Crickets chirp outside, a reminder that you're the only one awake in miles. You're getting nothing done, but you don't care. It's summer break. Nothing else in the world is more important in that moment than getting that diamond pickaxe. You feel your eyelids slowly close as the night closes over you. You fell asleep before getting the pickaxe, but you don't care. You'll just do it again tomorrow. This is the kind of memory I think of when I think of playing mobile games when I was younger. Those long summer days of having nothing to do and spending the whole day playing mobile games. Being lazy didn't feel bad back in the day the way it does when we're older. We could spend all day playing Plants vs. Zombies and not feel bad about it, which is why the memories are so good. The only thing stopping us from playing them was boredom. There's a certain magic in the early 2010s mobile games. It was the beginning of gaming on mobile, when developers were coming up with all kinds of new ideas for games. It was sort of like the explosion of console gaming in the 80s, when everything was new and interesting, and the whole market was a blank canvas. There was so much creativity in the vast different types of games being made. I know that I have an obvious bias, but those older mobile games feel so magical in comparison to today's. They just felt so simple. I mean, just look at Fruit Ninja. All you need to do in Fruit Ninja is cut fruit as it pops up in front of you. It sounds stupid, and yes, it's stupid addictive. It also never ends. The main goal of the game is to beat your best score rather than beating levels. This way, there's no real end to the game. And again, the only thing stopping you is getting bored. There were a lot of mobile games like this too. A big genre in mobile games is the endless runner games. Like in the game Temple Run, you play as an explorer who's running away from a pack of monkeys who inhabit the temple. You can collect coins as you run through different obstacles and escape the evil monkeys. Temple Run got a sequel which was pretty much exactly the same as the original game, but a little bit more fun. A game inspired off Temple Run called Subway Surfers was made, where you're a kid who's getting chased by a cop for vandalism. I personally prefer Subway Surfers to Temple Run because it has fun music, looks great, and the controls feel better, but it's hard to deny Temple Run's impact on mobile games. Just looking at these few games, it's easy to see how much creativity went into the making of these games. There were new ideas which people took and made games that were similar but in their own style, which is obviously how it should be in game creation. These games didn't get all love though. There was this one endless game that I'm sure you all know of called Flappy Bird, the game where you're a bird jumping through green pipes. Flappy Bird is so simple, but it was and is notorious for being so hard, so addictive, and so rage-inducing. It took the whole internet by storm and became insanely popular. The popularity and addictiveness actually led to the developer removing the app from the App Store in early 2014 because he felt guilty about how addictive it was. Even though the game wasn't looked upon highly, I still love the game because of the nostalgia it gives me. Endless games took more than the form of action games. Many games called idle games were released, where you must upgrade your base and level up to try to unlock the next thing. They were called idle games because they weren't very active. The most popular idle game was Clash of Clans. The reason Clash of Clans became so big was because it also involved combat within it. The game mainly revolved around making a high level and well defended base and defending it from other players attacking you. But there was also a combat aspect where you purchased troops and used them to raid other players' bases. There were other famous games similar to Clash of Clans, like My Singing Monsters and Dragonvale, but none of them compared in popularity to Clash of Clans. These games with no ending have lots of replayability, which is their main strong suit, but I feel like looking at these endless games kind of exposes a bad quality of them. They get boring. For these types of games, you can really only play them for a few days before not really touching them anymore. This is less true for the Clash of Clans type games compared to the Endless Runner types, but it still holds true. This is the reason why I personally prefer mobile games with levels. It gives you something to complete and feel more accomplished than just beating a high score. And if you finish the game, you can leave it feeling accomplished. The first game which comes to my mind when I think of this is Plants vs. Zombies. If you've never played Plants vs. Zombies, do me a favor and play it now. Don't even finish this video, just go. It's worth it. Okay, maybe my nostalgia is hyping it up a little bit, but I genuinely love this game, and it has such a creative idea. Basically, you have to defend your house against a horde of zombies by using destructive war plants to stop them. Yes, it's amazing. This game was released in 2009 and it holds up remarkably well to the test of time. It just has such a nostalgic and amazing energy to it that makes me happy to play it. Playing it just gives me one of those specific feelings of nostalgia that feels like everything is okay in that moment. And then talking to Crazy Dave feels so comforting, like seeing an old friend you haven't seen in years. That's something I love about old mobile games. They have a simplicity and friendliness to them that makes them feel so good to revisit and reminisce on them. This is true for so many games, like Angry Birds, Doodle Jump, Cut the Rope, Hill Climb Racing, and so many more. But I think one of the most relaxing mobile games had to be the Papa's games. But the Papa's games were flash games ported to mobile where you had to manage an entire restaurant on your own. You'd take a lot of interesting orders from a lot of interesting people and have to multitask taking orders, cooking, assembling, etc. to try and get the orders out on time while still making them high quality. I was always trash at the game, but some of the orders were so ridiculously absurd that I couldn't help myself from playing them for so long. Eventually I would just get really bad and start messing up people's orders on purpose to see their reactions, which is half the fun of the game. There were way too many Papa's games, with Papa's Pizzeria, Papa's Burgeria, Papa's Taco Mia, Papa's Freezeria, Papa's Pancakeria, Papa's Wingeria, Papa's Hot Doggeria. Okay, you get the idea. There were 16 games in the franchise, and the most recent is Papa's Cluckeria, released in 2022. I respect the grind, but I think it might be time to stop. Like the Papa's games, there were a lot of mobile games that were ports of online games, and the Impossible game was no exception. The Impossible game was a rhythm game where you'd play as a square jumping on blocks and jumping over spikes to avoid death. The game only required one button, which is a large part of its mobile appeal. The game was quite popular, but the reason I'm talking about it is because it inspired Geometry Dash, which is very similar to the Impossible game in some ways, but polished and expanded on it a ton. I used to be obsessed with the game, so I could probably and will probably make a whole video on it someday. It was released in 2013, but it still has a massive fan base now because the game has a level editor which allows you to upload your levels for others to play, so the community keeps the game alive. Geometry Dash is definitely one of those school bus games, where you can just play a bit every day on the bus and try to beat the next level while waiting to get to school or back home. This seems to be the sweet spot that mobile developers tried to hit. Make the game have a goal, but give it the ability to be played wherever you are. This is why Pokemon Go was so popular. It took the already insanely popular Pokemon franchise and gave it a new interesting spin so that it could be played anywhere. I personally feel like this doesn't really qualify as an old mobile game, but this was so insanely popular when it came out that I had to put it in. The popular mobile games all stick out in my head very clearly, but the individual smaller ones were also very important to everyone's mobile gaming experiences. Like I remember there was this one mobile game company called Donut Games which had all these really addictive little games that I loved back in the day. Plus it had this really memorable and sort of funny intro that always sticks out in my head now. These little games were also really important to everyone's mobile gaming experience and helped make them feel unique. Every game we played formed a vision of what mobile gaming should be to us now. But this begs the question, as we look at how mobile gaming has changed over the years, is mobile gaming dead? Well, if dead means it's no longer the way we know it, then yes. Mobile games are much different now than they were 10 years ago, and they're forever changing. But if by dead we mean nobody plays them anymore, then no. Billions of people still play mobile games today, so they're certainly not dead. The reality is mobile games today are good in their own way, and someday people will look back at this era of mobile gaming like how some of us look back at the early to mid 2010s era of mobile gaming. I guess we just have to accept the fact that things change over time, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It's definitely good to move on at some point and allow the past to be memories of when times were different. Well, thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!